The story of the wise men following the Star of Bethlehem to find the baby Jesus is dear to many of our hearts. Unfortunately, it is also fraught with misinformation and erroneous tradition. Here are some of the common mistakes made about the story of the wise men. First, many of the stories in the New Testament are repeated several times because Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all cover the same basic time period and many of the same events. However, only Matthew includes the story of the wise men. The story of the wise men is not in any of the other books anywhere else in Scripture. This entire narrative of the wise men is only in the first 12 verses of Matthew 2. Tradition is the story of 3 wise men, but the Scriptures never state how many wise men there actually were. In fact, we assume that there are only 3 wise men because there were 3 gifts given to Jesus. However, in the East, it is more commonly believed that there were 12 wise men. But whether there were 3, 12, 2, or any other number, the point is we don't know how many wise men actually visited the newborn king. Matthew 2 in the King James Bible calls them wise men. However, in the original Greek, it should be translated Magi. Magi is plural for magus, meaning a member of a priestly caste of ancient Persia. The tradition of calling them kings comes around the 3rd century when the Magi were considered to be kings. And in the 8th century, the kings were even given names and territories. Number 4, these high-class citizens would likely have not ridden on camels, as they were primarily used to transport goods. It is far more likely that the Magi would have ridden on Arabian horses. The common traditional belief is that many people saw the star that led the wise men to the baby Jesus. A closer reading of the story and the New Testament altogether reveals that only the Magi saw the star. Don't believe me? Read, and you will find that not even the shepherds saw the star, but were told by an angel. Another common misconception is that the wise men followed the Star of Bethlehem to find the baby Jesus. If you read carefully, you can see that in verse 1 of Matthew 2 that the wise men came from the east, and in verse 2 it says that they also saw the star in the east. Jerusalem is west, so if they followed the star, they would have ended up in China. Instead, they knew the prophecy was about the Messiah and that he would be born in Israel. So when they saw the new star, they headed west to Jerusalem. But do not fear, the wise men did follow the star, but not from the east to Jerusalem, but rather once they left Jerusalem. Verse 9 says, "When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was." So the star was now in the south, because Bethlehem is south of Jerusalem, and as night falls, so the rotation of the earth makes the star appear to set. As the wise men followed it, it led directly to the baby Jesus. To learn more about the Star of Bethlehem and the astrology behind it, here's a link to another video. Number 7. It is likely that it took months or longer for the Magi to travel to the newborn king. As such, he would no longer have been in the manger. We know this because Herod asked the wise men how long ago they saw the star. While we don't know their answer, we know that Herod ordered the slaughter of all male children 2 years old and younger. Not that this means it was 2 years later, but it could have meant anywhere from a couple of months to a couple of years. So the place where the shepherds came, which was the manger, is not where the wise men would have come. So in summary, the wise men were actually Magi. There were probably more than 3, and maybe up to 12, but who knows? They probably rode horses and not camels. They didn't follow the star to Jerusalem, but did follow it from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. All of this happening many months after Christ's birth.